Hi, we're Britt and Mike, and this is Leah. We're converting our 2021 Ford Transit van into a home on wheels. Last week, we built a box to hold our battery bank and electrical system. And in this week's video, we're wiring up more outlets, our 12-volt fridge, and our 3-way dimmer switches.
I made a mistake.
And fixing some previous mistakes.
Hi everyone, welcome back to our van build blog. As you can see, I am working on running some cables from our air conditioner and for our lights all the way back to the box over here where all the electrical is going to be housed. I am making use of all the space that I can to try to do this as comfortably as possible. But yeah, it is a little challenging to get in here right now.
It is very hot this week. It's like 95 degrees up into like 105 at one point. So we're taking advantage of being able to be outside in the van, in the elements while we can. So in case you haven't seen our wiring video, we have a lot of wiring that is ran on the driver's side of the van to power things like our air conditioner, our outlets on that side. We'll have a 12-volt toilet on that side, a composting toilet. And so all of that stuff to get to the distribution box on the passenger side has to run under the bed. So that's what Mike's doing now so that we don't have wires all over the floor. Next project is all of these wires are going to be wired up right here for our sort of control panel with our light switches and monitors and things like that. So Mike's got one hole drilled out here and then the other one he just did right here so that they can come up right here.
My idea for a way to take advantage of the closet space a little bit was to run our wiring into the closet and have little boxes right here. And then as well as on the other side, we can run our water lines up to here. I think that we're gonna do the kind of water lines like they'll come through on this side and then they'll have the shower head on like a hose and then it'll all mix on this side. That way I don't have to run a line from here up to the top and mount a shower head that way. It'll just cut down on the amount of junk that we have up in here. What's up guys? Been a little bit since I picked you up, but I got quite a bit done today and I wanted to show you the progress. So starting under the bed, I got all these wires ran. These are actually our wires that go to our switches by the bed so that we can adjust them with the dimmer switches, all that stuff. So these go from the other switches to the dimmer switches, and then there's gonna be wires going from the dimmer switches to the electrical boxes. So I'm gonna have to run 3 additional wires to these. I think I'll probably just zip time to the ones I've already installed since they are looking pretty nice. And over here, this big black wire you see over here, that is the wire for our air conditioner. I've got that zip tied and ran all the way across to the electrical center over here. And then I've got a 3rd wire right here, this little 12-volt wire that goes over to our electrical over here as well. And that is for our, what is that one for? That's for an outlet that's going to go in our bench seat, a little 12-volt outlet. So yeah, it's coming along. We've also got these wires over here. Those are the wires for our heated floor, which are going to go up to a box by the bed. So a lot of stuff is going next to the bed. I'll show you what that looks like now. All right, so this is kind of a mess right now, but we've got this black wire for the air conditioner, runs through the back of the closet. These 2 wires right here are the switch for our shower light. So those are gonna run here somewhere in the middle so I can hook a little shower light up here. And then down on the bottom here, I've got cords for the 3 dimmer switches as well as a couple cords for an outlet. So one cord will go to the outlet, and then the next cord will go to the outlet that's going to be in the bench area here, so it'll be on one string. And then also in the back corner of this box down here, All those little wires and that little bundle down there is for our heated floor, which again will mount right up here. So we'll have 3 dimmer switches, an outlet, and I'll probably put the heated floor up higher up here. We will also be mounting our Victron battery monitor somewhere right here as well, and we might be putting some gauges for water tanks, so on and so forth, that type of thing. But I think this is going to be a lot of our little command center here because it's such a big space. It's kind of perfect for it, and it's all really close to our electrical system, which is again right down here. So we've got quite a few loose ends that we need to tie up before we can really wrap up the electrical and start connecting everything. For instance, we have these 2 wires down here. One is for a 120 volt outlet, one's for a 12 volt outlet, which will mount on the back side of this somewhere in here. These 2 are also for a 120 volt and a 12 volt outlet, which will mount to the front of the box here. And then I need to drill a hole in the side of this box to run this 3/0 cable to underneath the driver's seat for our lithium BIM. And then obviously we've got all this stuff still to deal with, hooking up switches and boxes and stuff for this stuff, as well as the fridge outlet needs to be installed, and the shower outlet, which I'm going to save that one. I just won't put the fuse in whenever I set everything up because we still got to do the wall and everything else here, and obviously this isn't ready to have that outlet installed. That is for our composting toilet, by the way. So obviously this stuff doesn't have to be 100% connected for me to put the battery bank in and all that stuff, so it would just be nice to be able to use as much of this stuff as possible. It's not going to be possible to hook everything up right away. Pretty much most of the stuff on the driver's side as far as outlets go, those will come later on because I have to connect a couple outlets to the back of the van as well. We plan on having a little table that'll pull out and stuff back there, and we're going to mount a 120 volt and a 12 volt outlet towards the rear of the van as well. So because those are on a string, or actually just the 120s on a string, I can't hook them up until we have a place to mount them. So until I get to that point, that's just gonna have to wait, but at least we can be 95% there, 85% there, whatever the case. What's up, guys? It is a new day. I've been out here this morning figuring out where I need to cut holes to mount some of our equipment in the van. Okay, hopefully you can see this. So I've got spots marked out for our 3 switch box, which will go right here. That'll have all of our dimmer switches on it for our lights. And then over here we have a spot marked out for a 120 volt outlet. And then here is the spot marked out for the box for our thermostat for our heated floor. So I'll need to cut all of those out, as well as this one right here, which is for the exterior outlet. It's right here in the doorway. We decided on this location because by putting it here, we can actually use it from the inside of the van as well, so it has dual purposes. And yeah, we just thought it was a little bit better placement than on the front side of this, where whenever we're enclosed indoors, we can't use it. That gives us the added benefit of being able to reach it from the passenger seat. And then lastly, I've got a spot marked out here for our 120 volt outlet that will go on the front of our bench seat. I didn't bother marking out where the holes will be drilled for our 12 volt outlets on the bench seat, as well as the entry door here. That's gonna be done with a hole saw, so I don't have to like mark it all out and then come in and take it out with the jigsaw. That's why I didn't bother doing that. Same thing with our Victron battery monitor. That will be a 2 1/8 inch hole saw, so there's no need to mark it out. Later on I can just put a little dot on it, put the saw through it, it'll be fine. But yeah, that's the bulk of all of our outlets will be installed at that point, once we get all those boxes and everything hooked up. Okay, now that I have my outlets all marked out, it's time to cut them out and put the boxes in, basically. made a mistake. When we were doing our subfloor, I wanted to bring the floor all the way out to the back doors of the van, but as a YouTube commenter pointed out, there is an access hatch, I guess, I don't know, to release the spare tire on the floor in the back of the van, and I covered it. So I'm going to fix that.
Yeah, I was looking at our comments yesterday after I uploaded our latest video, and someone very helpfully asked, how are you going to access your spare tire with the flooring the way that you have it? Or did you move your spare tire from the factory location? And we specifically didn't want to move the spare tire because we wanted to have our doors open, what is it, like 250 degrees? Basically, if you have your spare tire on your back doors, you can't use the feature where they like magnetize to the side of the van, so they open all the way out.
Yeah.
So we were like, no, we're definitely keeping it in the factory location. So I was like, what's going on? And then I started scrolling through our old pictures, like before we put in the flooring, and it's just right there, like clear as day.
So,
maybe we should have wondered what that was before we covered it.
I've always owned trucks, and all of my spare tire drop points have been on the outside of the vehicle.
Yeah.
So that is a new one for me.
Yeah.
And obviously I should have paid more attention and figured that out beforehand, but I've never dropped the spare tire. So lesson learned. Now I get to drill out a hole, and I'll probably just get a little cover to put over it so that we can still access it and keep our floor in the position that we wanted it, where we wanted it at. So yeah. Lesson learned.
And thank you to Matt, because we would have found that out some night, months or years from now, when we had a flat tire in the middle of nowhere, and that would not have been great. So
yep. Or when we go to upgrade our tires, the guys at Les Schwab or wherever would just be like, what are you doing? So on the bright side for this happening to us is that we used mini cell foam to insulate underneath our flooring. So this was just attached with some glue, and all I had to do was take a paint scraper and peel back my outer edge here and scrape all that out, all the glue. And then I just took a couple scrap pieces of wood that I had, wedged them in there so that all the weight of the floor wouldn't be on top of that piece of foam, and then I was able to pull it out. You can actually see the imprint. This is where the hatch is on the foam. I just measured out from the edge to where I can feel around in there is about 4 inches. Also, I measured from the edge of the foam to there. It's about 4 inches, so perfect. The little cover is it's less than 2 inches wide, so if I make the hole 2 3/4 or 3 inches or so in this approximate spot, it should be enough clearance to get that off and be able to use it in the future. So I just need to pick a hole saw size that I can get a cover for. So we'll get back to the spare tire access point saga at another time. As you can see in the previous clip, I was out in the sun. It's about 90 degrees. It's way too hot to be sitting out in the sun worrying about all that stuff right now. So it is just a little embarrassing and a little frustrating, but what can you do? So right now I am about to start wiring up our outlet box right here. So this is our 3-switch outlet box for our dimmer switches for our lights. So there will be 3 2x12 AWG wires that go in. Those will go directly from the battery bank, and then we'll have 3 3x12 wires that go in, and those actually go to our 3-way switches over here. So a total of 6 wires in one box should be an absolute headache. But once we have that, we'll be able to turn our lights off and on for both sides, the bed and the door, as well as dim. So we will have a lot of options for lighting in the van, which will be great. It's just going to be fun to wire all that up. So first things first, I have a 50-foot spool of 2x12 wire here, and I've ran it up the same way up through here where all of our 3x12 wires are already coming up from our other switches. And right now I'm just trying to get a good length of this wire so that I can pre-cut out 3 pieces to run to our battery bank over here. I haven't decided where I want to run them yet, if I want to run them up underneath this side or down up underneath this post, or exactly how I want to do it. I'm also considering using some wire loom just to tidy it up a little bit, but we'll see. Okay, so just a little update here. This bundle of wires right here, those are the wires that go to the dimmer switches. You can see right behind my head here. That's where they go into the wall, into the closet. And right over this way, they go down into our electrical box. And the way that I attach those, I've actually done for a few other things, like this big black wire right here, is I use the same clips, but instead of clipping them around the wires, I zip tie through them. And that way I can keep my wires kind of bundled a little bit closer and takes up a little bit less surface space. Kind of keeps everything organized and nice, and I don't have to use as many of those clips because, not gonna lie, they're a huge pain to hammer in. So now that that's all done, I can jump into the boxes above the bed. All right, fast forward a little bit, and I've got the wiring ran through to the boxes. Everything's labeled, it's all nice, ready to go. And I do have one more wire to run because I have all the wiring from the heated floor to this box right here. Except I need to run a power cable from the battery bank to that box, and I just didn't run that yet because it's in the garage space and it didn't need to be done right away. So I need to do that, but also let's take a look here at the inside of the closet so you can see what it looks like now. I tried to keep everything together real nice and neat. I used wire loom on the wiring for the heated floors because those are loose wires. They don't have this nice protective sheathing on it like all these do. I just wanted to give it a little bit more protection. I think it looks really nice, and it honestly doesn't take up quite as much room as I expected. Good morning, everyone. Please try to ignore the sound of this leaf blower. He's been going at it for quite some time, and I just need to get some stuff filmed here and get on with my day. So here's what I've been working on this morning. Right over here on this wall, we have this cable that comes out. It goes to a 120 volt outlet, which will be mounted about right here. And then this cable goes from that outlet up underneath the bed here, where this black wire loom is, all the way over to here, where I have installed this little electrical box, because we haven't really decided if we want to add something else over here or not. Either way, this should be fine to run our wiring through this electrical box, and then go from there into the wall up to our front outlet over, or actually that goes to the bed. So it'll go to the bed, and then it'll go to the front to the bench. So that's how that run works. This is just how I'm kind of navigating around the bed. I also ran the wiring from the 12 volt outlet over here. So this comes into the wall right here. I have it running back around this side. It's here. This is where it'll connect to a little 12 volt outlet. And then right here, it'll go up inside this box, which I'll put some wire loom on it, all the way through here, down on the other side, and into the wall with the rest of our wiring here. I'm a little less concerned about the 12 volt stuff than I am about the 120 volt stuff, hence the wire loom down here on these, but not any wire loom on cord cables like this or all these cables at the front. So yeah, making some good headway here, but I need to run to the store and pick up a few things before I can go forward. So yeah, I'm gonna do that now. Good morning, everyone. It's actually the next day. I went to the store, picked up a bunch of stuff that I needed, but they didn't have some of the more important things that I needed. So it was a marine store, and I say was, past tense, that just up and closed down. And that was the only place in town where I could get 12 by 3 marine grade wire. So I had to order more on Amazon, even though I don't need that much. It is what it is. I also was supposed to receive a bunch of packages yesterday, like I said before, but they didn't arrive. They're coming today now. And a lot of those are connectors and stuff that I need to hook up the electrical. So a little frustrating. Didn't get much done yesterday. I mean, I went ahead and prepped all of our wiring for the switches and stuff. I also ran the electrical to this box up here and started to work on putting a sheathing around this 2-aught cable here that goes from the alternator to our battery bank for for charging. Anyways, so I did spend some time yesterday trying to get the sheathing over the wire, and the best I can describe it is it's kind of like putting a square peg in a round hole. It's not super easy, especially if the wire has any kind of curls in it, which it had been curled up for months, so obviously it was pretty curled. Pretty hard to get in there. So yeah, I just really want to protect this wire because it is a large gauge wire. It could be pushing 175 amps, and I really wouldn't want this wire to get damaged and cause any harm, basically. All right, so here's what I mean. Check this out. Got the wire here. I mean, I've already got it about 4 feet in. It was pretty easy to get it to that point, but I have another foot to go. So it's kind of frustrating. All right, so I turned off the camera and gave it like 30 seconds and I figured this out. So if I twist the wire and kind of get it to go in at a different angle while I'm pushing the conduit on, it kind of just slipped right on. So got it on. And once I got it on, it's pretty easy to slide it back as long as there's no like curls in the wire. So I'm just pulling it out away from the van like so, and just sliding the whole piece of conduit back in. This wire is also really long. I believe I only needed about 18 to 19 feet, and it was cheaper to order 25 feet than it was to order 20 feet. So I've got a little extra. I think that had the desired effect. You can see the conduit coming in from the wall here. I've got these little brackets. I think I'm gonna have to bend them because the tabs stick up a little bit. But if I think I just put this at a bit of an angle and just put a screw in like so, that'll hold these little tabs down and hold the conduit in place. I went with, it's like a waterproof conduit, ultra tight, non-metallic, liquid tight kit. It's 3/4 inches and 6 feet long. I got it from Lowe's. The reason I went with this conduit was because I didn't need very much. It's only a 6 foot length, and I actually cut about a foot off of it. I think that this will be a nice added protection to this thick gauge cable here, and I'll feel better. I'll feel a lot better having this thing covered up. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and modify a couple of these tabs, drill this down into place, and then I can move on to some other projects here. Okay, so I've got this wire here in this little storage space all wire loomed out and protected. Like I said before, I'm less worried about the 12 volt wiring than I am about the 120 volt, but being that this is in a storage compartment, you never know what's going to be in here rubbing on this wire, so better safe than sorry. I also use some of these tabs towards the top of the box because you can't really get a hammer towards the bottom, and zip tied it into place so nothing will catch it and pull it out, damage it at any point. Good morning, everyone. It's yet a new day. As you can see behind me here, my workspace is a complete mess. I am working on about 100 little things that I'm trying to wrap up so that I can move forward and get some of the bigger stuff done. And yeah, it's just, I've got crap everywhere. Anyways, it's time to start wrapping up some of these things. I did receive a lot of stuff yesterday that will allow me to get some of this stuff checked off. So let's get started. First things first, I received the hole saw that I need to drill out for the cover. That's gonna go over the top of the spare tire release. So without further ado, let's drill that thing out. Okay, wish me luck. That's it. Now the piece that I ordered will fit right down inside of here, and then it has a little flange or whatever that goes around the outside that bolts in, and then the inside unscrews so you can get to it pop it back in, screw it back in. We'll put a link in on the bottom if you're curious what it looks like. Okay, so next up I will be installing this outlet right here by the door, and we received a bit of free advice from a commenter on our last electrical video who's actually a professional, and he told us to use these to make our connections rather than wrapping the wire around the terminals on these. Apparently it will have a better lasting connection, so we are taking his advice. We're going to try these out. Thank you, Harry, by the way, for the free advice. We do read all of your comments, and we do not think of everything, and I'll be the first to admit that. So when you guys give us advice, it really means a lot, and ultimately a lot of times it ends up helping us out a lot. So thank you. My instant reaction to these, they're amazing. That made the installation process so easy. And installing an outlet is already pretty simple, but just being able to strip the wire back a little bit, clamp one of these on, heat shrink it down, and pop it right in made it so much more convenient, I think. So far, I love these things. Alright, so next on the agenda is the outlet by the bed. It's the same as the last one, except this one will be in the middle of the run. So I do have 3 additional wires that will connect to this outlet and then go to the next one, which is in the bench at the front of the van. I've already gone ahead and attached my pigtail here. So all I got to do is crimp on the heat shrink fork connectors and shrink them down and attach everything. Should only take a few minutes. So that was a little bit tougher than I expected. I did use shallow boxes here because I am trying to conserve a little bit of the closet space if I can. And yeah, it's quite a bit of wires to be going into a shallow box. But I got it. It is good. I mean, the connections all look really good. So now we can go on to the next thing. Alright, so next up I need to install the 12 volt outlet for our fridge. This outlet is rated for 15 amps. Our fridge will be on a 10 amp fuse, so it will literally never get to the point where this can fail. I opted for this one because it has this thing, like mounting thing on the sides, and I thought that that was the way that it mounts, but it has this little ring on the back that holds that piece into place. Okay, so I didn't film this because of this tight space that I'm working in right here. That's what it looks like. In its current location, it comes in right about the same height as the bottom shelf of our cabinet that we're gonna have here. So it's not ideal, it doesn't really work. So what I'm gonna do is drill a hole out right down here in this corner of the sidewall. And this is the cabinet where our fridge is gonna go anyways, so it's kind of perfect. And then I'm going to mount that outlet right down here in the corner. I think overall it'll just be a better location for it. You'll have to excuse me, I'm sweating pretty profusely. It's about 95 degrees right now, so it's not fun. Anyways, after all that, I didn't even use the stupid bracket. Seemed kind of pointless, and it was looking to be kind of difficult to get down in that corner to do some pilot holes. So I said, screw it, I don't need it. Good morning, it's the next day, and I finally received my wire lever nuts that were supposed to be here 4 days ago, and my 3x12 wire that was supposed to be here 2 days ago. So I can wrap up this electrical that I've been working on with the switches, etc., and move on to the next thing, finally. Okay, so here is a quick overview on how our light switches with dimmers wire up. There are 5 wires going into the back of this thing, so it is kind of important to get it right. You have a red and a black coming in from the battery bank, and those are wired up red to red, black to black. On the bottom side you have 2 reds and 1 black, and the way those wire up is black to black. I have black, white, green wire, so I've actually marked those with red electrical tape, so I know later on that these are technically red wires. And the way those wire up is the one on the far left here. I have going to the top of our 3-way switches by the door. There's 3 prongs on those, by the way. And then the second red wire goes to the bottom 3-way switch by the doors. And this black one actually goes directly to the black strand on the lights. And then the red strand on the lights goes to the center prong on the 3-way switches located by the doors. And then once you do all that, you've got working switches and the ability to dim all your lights. I am trying my best to give a good, decent tutorial on these because I really couldn't find any information regarding 3-way switches with dimmers. There's plenty of information out there on dimmers, there's plenty of information on the 3-way switches, but when you combine the two, it kind of changes things a little bit and it becomes a little bit more complicated, at least for a layman like me. All right, that's what it looks like. All right, so the last thing I wanted to show you guys was that I got the thermostat wired in per the instructions. It's pretty simple, so I didn't do a step-by-step on that. But there it is. Hopefully now when we get everything plugged in and hooked up, we don't have any issues. I don't have to take any of this stuff apart again. That's like my biggest fear, is that there's going to be something wrong somewhere with the light or something. I'm going to have to take a bunch of stuff apart to figure out where, like, I have a bad connection or something. But knock on wood, hopefully everything's okay. Okay, I'm not sure how well you can see that, but it is currently 100 degrees and it's getting hotter. So with that, I think I'm gonna go ahead and close the vlog out here. Thank you so much for following along, and please be sure to catch us on the next one. Bye guys.
Leah, show Dad what you found. Come on.
What is it? What did you find? What is it? Oh my god.
I didn't get close enough. I can't tell if it's alive. It hasn't moved. Is it alive?
Barely.
Oh. One of my parents' cats chases lizards around the yard and then brings them in through the cat door and drops them in the house. And my dad has found a live lizard in the office that I work in during the day when I'm here. And Leah just found one on the ground in the living room, like right by the cat door. So that's fun.